Understanding. Now, I want to thank the museum. He had set up a talk with a rabbi.
Right.
Instantly.
Right.
So, and I'm in front of a room full of Jewish people.
Right.
And I'm asking basic questions, and maybe you can help me out.
Right. Right.
So let's look up the word anti-Semitic.
Right.
Who are the Semitic people? And then we're going to get to the public enemy thing.
Right.
So I looked up who is the Semitic people, and there's a list of Semitic people, and anyone can do this right now. You can look up who are the Semitic people, what are the Semitic languages.
Right.
Has absolutely nothing to do with any white people.
Right.
Not at all. So in order for me to be anti-Semitic, I'd have to be anti-black man, anti-black woman, anti-black people, anti-Africa, anti-all of the people.
Because the Semitic people
are black people.
So y'all get that clarity. We're going to say that again.
Now,
the Semitic people are black people.
So I cannot be anti-Semitic. Now, what do they really use the phrase anti-Semitic to do? That's the thing.
To divide us.
Exactly.
Right.
So they put this title on you, anti-Semitic, and then they neutralize you.
Right.
Separated me from the group. Right. Say he's a Jew hater. He hate white people. He hate gay people. He hate all white people with freckles and red hair, whatever.
Right.
And they put that on me, which I never said these things.
Right.
You understand what I'm saying? I just ran down the history given to me by my elders, and anybody could read this for themselves. Right. So it ain't a Professor Griff hating people thing.
Right.
Now closer to what happened with the public enemy thing, the brother James Baum, one of the X1Ws in the group, gave me some information. He was in touch with research department of the Nation of Islam in Boston.
Right.
Got the information, and we talked about the secret relationship between blacks and Jews.
Right.
It was a manual. It wasn't even a book then.
Right. Wow.
I got it. I went to Kinko's so I can get me a copy.
Right.
The brother recognized me. Oh, you that dude from Public Enemy, man.
Right.
For real. I said, yeah, bro, I got you this. I was the road manager, so I was responsible for everything. Right. I gave it to him. The gave me a copy, but he made a copy also.
Yeah.
Exactly. Okay. When I seen the brother again, dude gave me a box of them. And I gave James back his. So I read it. So now the spokespeople for the group, me and Chuck, we did all the interviews.
Right.
We sat down, we went to DC. We was doing the interview that day, and it wasn't even my interview.
Right.
Chuck's interview, he didn't want to do it.
Right.
So I sat down with him. Now, mind you, I'm the Minister of Information.
Right.
I got 2 suitcases now.
Right.
I used to carry with 2 suitcases full of books.
Right, right.
And so I laid them all out on the table. So when I went into the interview, I was ready.
Right.
First question he asked is
just like this. How we just got
exactly,
laid out.
Exactly. Who controls the music industry? Well, what more am I supposed to say? You understand? I laid out the names, the people, the organizations they belong to. I laid it out. Now, mind you, this is not coming from Professor Griffith. I wasn't hating nobody that day.
And was it in that statement? Was it just like, was it white people, Jewish people, white supremacy? Like, was it more just like you just kind of you weren't saying a hateful statement? You were just saying this is who controls it.
I laid out the names.
Right. Oh, so you specifically
you
said people's names.
Yes.
Oh, wow.
People's names.
At that time, because this was what, 80, 89, 90?
Yeah, about 80, 89. Yeah.
Okay.
Yep.
And you just said people's names. And
I laid it out and I showed them the books.
Right.
And I looked it up and showed it to them. This paragraph says this. These people control film industry, TV, music industry.
And as we know right now,
these are the players.
When we talk about media, there's 6 major corporations that control all of media. Exactly. This is beyond the music industry. And this is, you were laying that construct down back then and naming names, calling them to the table. But even as we speak, we sit right here today, there's 6 major corporations that control everything that is delivered to you as we speak.
Exactly. So the 6 people can sit in this room and decide everything that we experience as far as entertainment. We watching the movies, reading the magazines. 6 people.
Right.
I laid that out. It wasn't a Jewish conversation.
Right.
It was about the music industry. The first 20 minutes of the conversation, we was laughing, joking, dapping each other up, talking.
Right.
His girlfriend walked in. We were talking about David Mills now.
Right.
Who dropped dead on a movie set.
Right.
His girlfriend walks in, and his girlfriend's white and Jewish. Well, I'm from Roseville, Long Island. We don't experience people like that. So I'm like,
except for Howard Stern.
Exactly. So when she came and sat down, the complexion of the conversation changed. It became more, and I'm like, you know what I'm saying? A couple of times he even pressed the pause button on the cassette.
Yeah, that privilege starts speaking. And
so now he had to change his tone because now the white Jewish girlfriend is sitting next to him.
Right.
And she's getting offended by me calling out the Cohens and the Moskowitz and the blacks and the
Right.
And I'm like, okay, but still no hatred involved. I'm just laying the history out.
We're just speaking facts.
When I finished the interview, he admitted and said to us, you know something, this is the kind of stuff that can get you in a lot of trouble. And I'm like, now keep in mind now, I'm in my 20s.
Just like these conversations.
No, exactly. Exactly.
But fearless is. So, and you just saying what you're saying. You get facts.
Exactly.
No reason to be scared when you're speaking the truth.
So I let that, what you just texted to the Village Voice in New York.
Right.
Front page blew up. He went out and it's like Professor Griff, anti-Semitic, blah, 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 whatever.
Salaam Alaikum. Mr. Moderator, our distinguished guests, brothers and sisters, our friends and our enemies.
Bismillah wa salatu wa salam Rasulullah wa ba'd. In the name of Allah, may the peace and blessings of Allah be upon his last and final messenger. Family, friends, foes, haters, and hateettes, welcome back to the Feachaz. I greet you all in peace and love with no hatred in my heart. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. So before we begin, please like, please subscribe, and please share. As you know, we got a lot of haters up in here. And what we just saw was a small clip of an interview between the Professor Griff of Public Enemy and what's his name again? Nick Cannon. Nick Cannon. Okay. And this is the infamous interview that got Nick Cannon blacklisted from the industry, so to speak, right? Because he said the original Semites are black. Which, if you go on Google right now, as we mentioned before, if you just type in Semitic tribes, Semitic languages, you're only going to see black people. You're not going to see any Europeans. Okay. However, nonetheless, Professor Griff was talking about a situation that happened in, I want to say, the late 80s, because back in those days, Public Enemy was my favorite group, my favorite rap group. I know it was actually early 90s. It had to be early 90s. It wasn't late 80s or early 90s, right? And he was talking about a situation where he got kicked out of Public Enemy. And the reason why he got kicked out of Public Enemy is because of the thing that he just mentioned, this conversation that we was having with these Jewish people. You understand? So he mentioned way back then, right? It wasn't a Jewish thing or anything. He was just mentioning the names of the executives that were running the industry. That was it. That's all he did. Okay. And because he did that in a private sitting, he was blacklisted. And you got to understand that black people continually are publicly lynched, buck broken, humiliated in public because of just stating simple facts. And we, ironically, for stating simple facts, get labeled with all kind of can you imagine black people being anti-Semitic? Can you imagine that? So anyways, when I say wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to Sister Tika, ayakumullah wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh Sister Rebecca, and wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh to Sister Iman. And let's get down to business, shall we? Okay. So the whole point of putting this out is because, you know, in Islam, you might wonder why music is haram and these type of things are haram. But music is very powerful. It is very powerful and it is very influential. And the enemy knows this. And because the enemy is wickedly wise, they are in a position where they do not allow anybody to control the music industry except for them. And whoever controls the music industry controls the messaging behind the music. And so, as the saying goes, whoever pays the piper names the tune. What was going on in the 80s and the 90s was there was a massive push of Black consciousness within hip-hop music. A massive push. As a matter of fact, you will find many Muslims themselves became Muslim because they heard about Islam through hip-hop music. Do you guys know this brother, this sheikh? His name is Abdullah Aduro. Let me see if I can find the clip. Right? But do you guys know this brother, Abdullah Aduro? Do you guys know who's just yes or no in the chat, please? Do you guys know this brother, Abdullah Aduro? I saw a clip of the brother this morning, and I was stunned. Okay. I was totally stunned. But he is basically not stunned because his story was surprising, but he is telling a story that many of us who are indigenous Blacks of the West tell. It's the same story, and he's African, okay? From like West Africa. And he's basically saying the same story. So most of you don't know who Abdullah Abdul is, okay? I'm going to try to find a clip so we can play it for y'all, okay? But when you see this story, I'm pretty sure most of you will be surprised, okay? But anyways, the point is, we know very well that many of us, our first interaction of anything Islamic from back in the day, it had to have been through groups like Public Enemy, which was my personal first, okay, right? Groups like X-Clan, groups like Tribe Called Quest, you know, all these groups that were mentioning about Allah and Islam. Who else? Brand Nubian. You know, all these people that were alluding to the nation, these type of things, right? This was rampant in hip hop back in those days. It was absolutely rampant. You know, you had the Roots. The Roots, and they had a song, I can't remember what it's called. But one of the rappers said the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam was sealed the prophets. He said that in the actual song. Okay. So this was really, our first anything about hearing about Allah, the Prophet Muhammad sallallahu alaihi wasallam, Islam, these type of things, right? So now, what happened is, eventually, the music got taken over. Okay? The music got taken over. It was bought out by a whole bunch of these corporations and whatnot. And now we have a situation. Yep. Don't forget Gangstar also, right? I was raised as a Muslim praying to the East, right? So now we have a situation where, where hip hop was seen as a fad, and it just kept growing and growing and growing in the grassroots. And then corporations came. Not only did they buy out these smaller record distribution companies like Def Jam and these type of companies, but they controlled even the messaging. And when they came into hip hop, the entire hip hop messaging changed. The whole messaging changed. So now I'm going to read to you, inshallah, 1 second. Don't forget to like, subscribe, and share. Do not forget to like and subscribe and share. So let me share it with you. 1 second, y'all. Let me share this with y'all. This is what's going on now. One label controls almost all of hip hop, and that's a problem for music fans. This is from westward.com. Okay. Now listen what they said, okay? It's common knowledge that the popular music industry is dominated by a few huge companies, sometimes referred to as the Big Three. What are the three? Universal Music Group, Sony Music Entertainment, and Warner Music Group. Okay? It used to be the Big Four until EMI was subsumed into the other three. Before that, it was the Big Five, which was followed by the Big Six. As time has gone, the music market has been becoming more and more restrictive in the choices you can actually make as a consumer. This is why you have in hip hop, the messaging in hip hop right now is pretty much down to a singular, a raunchy, disgusting message. Okay? According to Nielsen SoundScan, these three companies controlled roughly 90% of the music market in 2012. That's way back in 2012. And this is a number trending upward. The problem for rap fans, though, is even more severe. Mind you, this is a music magazine that's putting this out. Okay, it ain't us. It's not us. They are saying this. Of the top 25 charting hip hop singles in 2013, okay, Universal Music Group had a hand in 20. And when you look at the hip hop landscape as a whole, the reality that one company is completely running the game is almost unavoidable. Now, listen, this is the killer. This is the killer, y'all. The killer is when you think about your so-called, let's say, black music companies, you think that they are totally independent, correct? You think they're running independently. But what does this article say? Think about all your black labels. Think about Puff Daddy. Think about Jay-Z. Think about them. Think about these labels, right? Here's what they say. Listen now. Cash Money. Okay. Who's Cash Money? Lil Wayne, correct? Def Jam. We all know Def Jam. We should anyways if you're an old hip-hop head. Aftermath. Who's Aftermath? Isn't that Dr. Dre? I think it's Dr. Dre, right? Rockefeller. Rockefeller's Jay-Z. Okay. Good Music, TDE, and Bad Boy, who is Puff Daddy, are all in Universal's stable. Did y'all catch that? Did y'all catch that? I'm going to repeat, okay? Cash Money, Def Jam, Aftermath, Rockefeller, Good Music, TDE, and Bad Boy are all in Universal's stable. Let that sink in for a minute. Just let that marinate in your mind for a minute. Okay? Let that marinate in your mind for just a few seconds. Okay? Not only, I'm reading the article now, not only do they control your usual corporate run suspects, but they also control the rappers who are expected to change the game, like Kendrick and Kanye. But how much does this consolidation of power actually affect the music made? And most importantly, is there any hope? This is a mainstream music magazine telling you this. We, as Muslims, we have to go beyond just telling people music is haram. That is not good enough. We know very well, most of us who are converts, we know very well how deeply ingrained music is in our culture. We know this very well. How is it that all your favorite rappers, companies are under the control of the umbrella corporation which belongs to the enemy? Every last one of them. Every last one of them. And then you wonder why the messaging is like it is. We, Muslims, we need to be a lot more, we have to have a lot more pride in the way that we deliver the message to our people about music. Because music in itself is not just music, it is a very powerful weapon against Black people. It is an incredible weapon against Black people. And it's Black-looking people that are making it look like they are the owners when they know very well they are just in the big house with massa in them. You do not get to be a Black billionaire in entertainment without doing an incredible amount of selling out of your own people. That's not a thing. Let's keep reading. Most heads will tell you unequivocally that a monolithic music industry is and always has been a problem in rap's evolution. As hip-hop has become more and more commercial, certain traits have always been a part of rap, even been elevated to the primary importance. What is the primary importance of hip-hop? Let's read what this Westward article is saying. Materialism, misogyny, ultra-masculinity, to name a few. But because these are the qualities, for whatever reason, that make money. What do you mean for whatever reason? What do you mean for whatever reason? You know very well what it is. Those of you who are around in the 80s and the 90s, did we have this materialism, this misogyny, this ultra masculinity? Talk about gangsterism. They don't want to say gangsterism. They have to put it as ultra masculinity. Right? They have to put it as that. Because if they put gangsterism, it's going to be too much. Did we have this in the 80s and 90s? Yes or no? Put it in the chat, please. Did we have this in the 80s and 90s? Put it in the chat. Yes or no? Who from the 80s or the 90s for that matter, early 90s anyways, before the demographics started changing into this going to the West Coast, because really that's when the West Coast rap started in I want to say in the mid 90s, early to mid 90s. That's when West Coast rap became a thing. Who is doing this stuff? I can only think of a handful of people that were doing it. Just a handful. You had Schoolie D in the 80s and Roxanne Shante, and that was it. Okay? That was it. That was it. Everybody else had a level of consciousness, whether it was Public Enemy, Big Daddy Kane, it's mostly at this time was like mostly the New York rap scene, right? When rap started going to the West, that's when we started seeing gangster rap. That's when we started seeing Ice-T and NWA and these type of things. That's when we start seeing it. BDP, another one. Right? NWA came afterwards when rap started going West Coast. When it started going West, that's when we started seeing the gangsterism. You think that's a fluke? You think that's a happenstance? They know that stuff wouldn't go on in the East Coast in them times. They knew that very well. That's why they had to switch. And then when these same companies started moving south, it's the same type of thing. They had to step up their raunchy game. So, you know what I'm saying? It's ridiculous. Do you guys want to see who the executive of Universal Music Group is? Let's see some of these executives, shall we? Let's see some of these executives. Like, subscribe, share, hit me up on Patreon. Let's see some of these executives. 1 second, y'all. Meet Sir Lucian Grange. You can say he's pretty much the godfather of hip hop, modern hip hop today. Yes, Sir Lucian Grange. Sir Lucian Grange is the chairman and CEO of Universal Music Group, the world leader in music-based entertainment. Grange has spent his entire career in the music industry and has signed and worked many of the worldwide stars, including ABBA, Jay-Z, Elton John, Katy Perry, Queen, Rihanna, Rolling Stones, Sam Smith, U2, and Amy Winehouse, and many others. Over the span of 3 decades, he has not only pioneered new approaches, signing and developing the world's most successful recording artists and songwriters, but he's consistently championed and developed innovations and business models and partnerships, worldwide range of technology and whatnot. Let's go to Wikipedia to see if we can find some more information about Sir Lucian Grange, shall we? This is Sir Lucian Grange. Grange grew up in North London. He was raised Jewish. Don't strike me, YouTube. I'm just reading Wikipedia here. Okay? Grange left Queen Elizabeth's Grammar School for Boys at the age of 18. One second, y'all. I'm trying to find the knighting of him. But anyways, hold on. Here's the first sentence. It goes, Sir Lucian Grange, born February 29th, February 1960, is the chairman and CEO of Universal Music. Grange has worked in the music business for his entire career. Billboard magazine named Grange as the most powerful person in the music business on 4 occasions in the 2010s to the very first executive of the decade. Sir, knighted by the Queen. They knight the people who spread debauchery in your communities. You want to see some more executives? You want to see some more executives? Respect to brother Jordan M. Mashallah, 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 mashallah. Who wants to see some more executives in hip hop? You want to see? Did I say that Sir Lucian Grange is the most powerful man in music? Wasn't me. I didn't say that. Billboard magazine said it. Let's look at some other hip-hop executives, shall we? Y'all think this is jokes? Some of you might recognize this individual. You guys know who this is? Yes or no in the chat, please, if you know who this is. Y'all know who Mr. Lior Cohen is? Lior Cohen, born October 3rd, 1959, is an American record executive and entrepreneur. Cohen has actively been involved in hip-hop at various record labels for more than 30 years. He started managing rappers for Rush Productions and then led Def Jam. You know who started Def Jam? Y'all guys know who started Def Jam? Do you know why Def Jam was started to begin with? Okay. Def Jam, like most black record labels, was a grassroots record label started by the one Russell Simmons, who happens to be the brother of Run from Run DMC. Why did they start it? Because the music industry didn't want hip hop back in the 80s. They didn't want it. Some of the notable early groups that signed with Def Jam was, of course, the Public Enemy. We talked about him. LL Cool J, Beastie Boys. Who else? Who else am I missing, guys? Of course, Run DMC. Okay. Who else? Oh, most of your early grassroots groups. Fat Boys, I believe, was on Def Jam. Yep, Fat Boys, yep. Slick Rick, yes. Those rappers compared to today, all of them, even Beastie Boys, okay? Beastie Boys, as you know, dusty as they were. Beastie Boys was pretty dusty, you know? Beastie Boys, as dusty as they were, night and day compared to a modern rapper. Curtis Blow, he broke out the scene. He's the only rapper in the 80s that broke out on the scene with a deal with a major record company, but I can't remember which one it was. That's why he became famous. Right? But Curtis Blow, he wasn't on Def Jam. But I can't remember who he was on. But anyways, Lear Cohen came and took that crap over, and then everything started changing. Those of you who know, you know. Okay? Those of you who know, you know. Do we have to say what Lear Cohen was? Some of Cohen's closest associates have included longtime friend and business partner Russell Simmons, Jay-Z, music executive Julie Greenall, John Bon Jovi, and Kanye West, who dubbed himself the Lear Cohen of Dior Homme in 2010 recording Devil in a New Dress. Are y'all seeing this? On January 2003, the offices of Murder Inc. Records and Island Def Jam were raided in a joint task force by NYPD and FBI as a part of federal probe to label the founder Irv Gotti's ties to drug lord Kenneth Supreme McGriff. The particular interest authorities as an Island Def Jam payment of $500,000 to a company fronted by McGriff. 2005, Gotti was acquitted of all charges, as was Cohen, who had also testified. Are you seeing this? But I'm pretty sure most of you know who Lear Cohen is. He's probably the most infamous executive in hip hop. LL Cool J, yes, he was in Def Jam as well, and so was Salt and Pepper. That's correct. Salt and Pepper, yes. Salt and Pepper, yes, they were. They're from Def Jam. Many of your favorite rappers were from Def Jam because in those days there was no major record companies pushing hip hop. You know, they had to be independent. They had to be independent. You want to see some more? Would you like to see some more? Let's do one more. And then we'll invite the people to tell me. Put this link on. One second, y'all. All right. There we go. Sir, Peter Schwartz. You can't make this crap up. You cannot make this crap up. And the funny thing is, anybody can just look this stuff up. It's not like it's hidden. Peter Schwartz, Vice President, the agency group. Clients include Macklemore, Ryan Lewis, Wiz Khalifa, Mac Miller, Busta Rhymes, A Tribe Called Quest, Ghostface Killah, Redman, Waka Flocka Flame, Yo Gotti, Rakim, Big Boy, A$AP Rocky, Dilated Peoples, and Dan the Automator. These are the people that own hip hop. These people. And when Kanye states the obvious, mind you, we are not fans of Kanye out here, man. We know what he is. Kanye ain't about nobody but himself. Okay? He is about nobody but himself. But why is it that every single time that we are just the obvious? We are not allowed to say it. Because if we say it, then we are the ones who will get horrifically blacklisted and exiled. See, there is a reason why Allah made music haram. And the older I get, the firm I become in the conviction of why music is haram. There's like no doubt in my head. You get it? No doubt in my head why music is haram. Music itself is a controlled substance, okay? If there was nothing to these allegations, then these people would have nothing to worry about, correct? Because the people making the allegations would just be outcast fools by the wider society. But the music industry themselves are telling you who run the music industry, particularly black music. And it's not just music. Black people are the largest consumers of hair products. You know us and our nappy heads, okay? You know we need some good hair products, particularly women. Because women, they don't just buy the products. They will buy the weaves, the extensions, the wigs, and spend thousands and thousands and thousands of dollars on these products. Do you know that your black hair product companies, even though they're selling you these black hair products, not a single one of them run by black people, not a one. And I advise you, if you are getting black hair products, to buy them from black people. You can do this off of Instagram. You can do this at your local flea markets or whatnot. But those who are selling you these products, not only are they not black and they're getting insanely rich, black people buying hair products, they don't hire black either. They do pretty much what the music industry does. They wait for them to build a product, and then they come in, buy the product or buy the company and resell it to you. We need to stop that. We need to stop that. We need to support our own. There are tribes in Africa, particularly, I'm thinking about Chad specifically, right? Where they have this natural way of straightening their hair, right? What you should see the length of these women's hair. We're talking about type 4C hair, okay? And they are straightening their hair naturally. And this is now starting to come, this product, I can't remember the name of it, but you can look it up. This product is now starting to come to the West. For those of you black, you don't know what 4C hair is. 4C hair is the kinkiest or the tightest curl of hair that you can have. Very, very, very kinky. Very kinky. Okay? It's called 4C. Okay? These Chadian women, they have that type. You can't get any nappier than that. And they are straightening their hair, making their hair long, very long, through natural. That's the name. Thank you. Thank you, Sister Tika. It's called Chiba. They've been doing this for centuries. Do you want your enemies now to figure a way to bottle this and sell it to you, when it's always been yours? Back then, Warner Brothers and Jive were only two signing rappers. Oh, and Arista. That's correct. That is correct. That is correct. And mind you, Jive is an actual black label. Sadly, it's too much self-hate and animosity towards each other, and blacks have a hard time supporting one another. They are quick to discount, want a discount. We need to stop this culture of discounting. And first of all, we touched upon this yesterday when we did the live yesterday. We're talking about entrepreneurship and ownership. And inshallah, I'm gonna do a live reacting to I think it's Yasser Qadi and this other sheikh, right? I think it's him, right? But anyways, they're talking about entrepreneurship. And it was an amazing angle that I never considered. That's why I'm doing a reaction to it, inshallah. Right. But anyways, the point is that we as Black people, right, we have to understand that a lot of our powerlessness, a lot of it is through training, slave training, to make it self-inflicted. You get it? We talked about this yesterday. The white man's ice is colder. Many of us heard this growing up, the older ones anyways. The white man's ice is colder. It's ice, okay? The white man's grass is greener. Same color grass, but because the white man has it, right, we are going to support them instead of our own, right? So this is how, like, if you, and the brother yesterday, he made a great point. If you start reading Kitab Tijara and Sahih Bukhari, you're going to have a completely different mindset on business and how you should take it very seriously. Completely different. You got to understand that the enemy has an unlimited supply of cash because it's the enemy's cash. And you are living under the rule of your enemy. So if you are doing things for the cash, you will always be at the end of a check of your enemy. You get it? That's why the grassroots is so important. That's why the grassroots is so important. Because the grassroots, we are looking for our reward from Allah. We understand that power doesn't come from the top down, it comes from the bottom up. And it's incredibly important for us to stay on code. Wa alaikum salam, Islam in perspective. Hayakumullah. So if you are not on code, then it's very easy to succumb to the pressure of your enemies. So you just start selling out when it's time to sell out. You start, repeating the same talking points that they have because you believe that your sustenance and your safety comes from them. But if you believe that your sustenance and your safety comes from Allah, then you will never, ever, ever value their wealth over the risk of Allah. That money that they have is blood money. It's devil money. They even put their devil heroes on their papers. Their killers are on their your killers are on their dollar bills. You get it? And you're just out there passing it around, working for their money. If you look at the Prophet ﷺ, they were being boycotted, him and his companions. They were being boycotted so harshly that they had to start eating the leaves off of trees. Okay? They started eating leaves off of trees. And when they started eating the leaves off of trees, their stool was like the stool of goats because they were starving. It would have been so easy for them to even make small concessions to the polytheists of Mecca at that time, but they didn't. They were patient. They were perseverant. And then eventually, Allah gave them victory. This is how you have to be. If you want Allah's victory, you have to know that victory comes with struggle. It comes with pain. It comes with, lots of tears and sleepless nights. It comes with that. But the reward, there's nothing like it at the end of the tunnel. You hear me? Stay on code. Stay on code. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh, Sister Rabia.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. How are you?
Alhamdulillah, alhamdulillah. How you doing, sis?
Alhamdulillah. I think it's you made a good point there when you said about staying on code and just thinking about what you just said about the ones who ate the leaves instead of making concessions with the idolaters. Yep. How many people do we know? I know that you know somebody personally. I know somebody personally who have sold out and are now making music and calling it dawah.
Mm-hmm.
I'm not like, the only thing I can say is how is this dawah when you know, and it's not that they don't know, because they know that that this is clearly haram. You can't make something halal that was haram, and then you're using that to make dawah with. You just can't do it, even though. And this is a point that you made that a lot of us came into Islam because we heard about Islam through the music that we heard back in the day. This is true, but I also at that same time, a lot of those people that we were listening to were also 5%ers, or they were in the nation, so they didn't have the banner of Islam under them, right? They knew about Islam, but they didn't actually have the banner of Islam with them. Now we have actual Muslims who are out here with music videos, who are singing and rapping and everything else. You're performing at nightclubs, which you have no business being at, especially for a woman. You have no business being at. Putting yourself in positions. Not even the only thing that's on you that shows anything about Islam is maybe your hijab, but you're saying that you're giving dawah in a nightclub. They kind of reminds me of that video that you put up of that so-called imam with all these women around him, and they all accepted Islam. Like it's laughable, There's what is the logic? Like, and I still up to this day can't understand the reasoning behind it, because to say that it's dawah is a farce. You're doing this out of your own desire. Has nothing to do with Islam.
This is one of the reasons why I say that our messaging has to be deeper than this, because music, particularly modern music, it is a means of mass propaganda. Right. And so you find, particularly with Black folk, they are acting in a certain manner because of music. You understand? So we know that growing up Black, we know how much music is a part of our culture. And we know, if those of you who are older remember the 80s and 90s and how much hip-hop music was influencing your mind, because it was doing in a positive manner. The same way that music was influencing us in a positive manner, that same music now it's the same music, mind you, it's hip-hop music, okay?
Right.
But because the hip-hop music now is turned around and weaponized against you, right? Now
the message has been reversed.
The message has been reversed, and you start acting out that stuff. And so when we're talking about Black people killing each other in the streets back in those days, we're talking about 18-year-olds and 19-year-olds and 20-year-olds. Now we are talking about 12-year-olds and 13-year-olds and 14-year-olds. You get it?
Back in the day when they were talking about the crack epidemic, it was talking about, trying to get it off of the streets. Now they're talking about cooking crack and songs. People think, oh, well, Nicki Minaj said "mashallah" in the song, like it's a good thing. Like, no, and they don't understand that the messaging that's happening is happening in the reverse. Because she said an Arabic phrase, all of a sudden this is a good thing. No, exactly. This isn't dawah.
Yeah, exactly. So she's using it in a very wicked, evil way. And part of music is sihr as well. It's a part of music, which is magic, right? So,
right.
And we know that magic uses the jinn and whatnot in order to influence people. This is a part of the unseen world that we don't see related to music, right? And so imagine being able to weaponize music on that level that you can influence millions of people. Is this not happening? Yes or no?
Of course it's happening.
It's every day. So the messaging that we have to give to Black folk, particularly in Dawah sphere, we have to go beyond, music is haram, because that is not going to do anything, right? Because now what you sound like to these youth is somebody who is very preachy, you know what I mean? But if you
what they would call us is what's the term now? Super selfie
or whatnot. But if you break down, look, these are the people who are controlling the messaging in the industry. If you break it down like that, and the reason why you act the way that you act, the reason why you speak the way you speak, the reason why you think the way you think, and you're addicted to this music, because these people behind the music want you to act like that. They're eliciting these reactions from you. That's why they're doing it. This is why music is haram. Right. Then they're going to look at it way different, right?
And even from a simpler standpoint is they don't even
for enjoyment, and you know what I mean. But they don't see how they're emulating the people that are living these fake lives.
Right. But even on a simpler plane than that is no other music for any other genre is as destructive as what it is for Black people. Yeah. And it's you can't see that. You're never gonna hear a country singer singing about, the stuff that you hear. It doesn't happen. You're never going to hear that about a pop singer singing that crap or anything else.
You're never going to hear, white people talking about in their songs, kill that whitey,
or how to cook crack and whatever.
You're not going to hear, Orientals, Asians talking about, kill the yellow man.
Exactly.
This doesn't exist. This is something that is exclusive to Black folk.
Right.
And even though it is exclusive to Black folk are not the ones who are owning their own distribution of their own music. They don't own it. So then what is going on here? What is going on here? Right? So that's why this is important. Meanwhile, Easterners are coming here, and what is the first thing that their kids are attracted to?
Black people, Black culture,
people, Black music, Black culture, and they are complaining about it. Mm-hmm. When it is in their best interest to make dawah to these same people that are influencing their kids, correct? You would think that
but they won't.
You would think that they would have an interest in the people that are influencing their children. But they don't have any interest in you, right? They're running around talking about this stuff.
We're not black. Let's stop talking like we're black.
That's what they're doing.
Because I think for them, they would have to relinquish some power if they were to try to influence you. They would have to invite you to the table if they were trying to influence you, right?
Well, what we should be doing,
they don't want to do that.
What we should be doing as black people, right? We should be understanding.
We should be building our own tables and inviting our own selves.
Exactly. Right? Because all this kind of, begging people to stop this and stop that, that's just like some nonsense, man. Nobody else does that. When's the last time you ever seen, whatchamacallit, people in the streets talking about, I don't know, Chinese lives matter and stuff, right? Because Chinese are getting killed left, right, and center by police and stuff. You don't see that. You don't see that. That's something exclusive to us.
No.
And the reason why people feel, emboldened to do that to us because we don't own, control, or develop our own communities. And the reason we don't own, control, develop our own communities is because we are too busy building up everybody else's community. You get it?
Exactly.
So
hence why lynching was only abolished this year. Go figure.
Yep. I mean, the lynching
law. They came out with an anti-hate Asian bill.
Mind you, murder has always been illegal in the West. Murder has always been illegal in the West. Right? There's never a time where murder was illegal. You understand?
Mm-hmm.
However, you as black people, because you don't have no rights, everybody's emboldened to murder you because, and that's not just here in the West, that's anywhere on earth. Go to the Middle East and see how many black men and black women are being murdered in the Middle East. Look, we showed what happened in Morocco. Massacre in Morocco. Look what's happening in Libya. Look what's happening to these East African women all over the Gulf countries.
Yeah.
You know what I mean?
Which is kind of why I'm kind of glad that UAE doesn't want Africans there. That's fine. That's fine. You can't kill them anymore.
Yep. I mean, there's a lot of moving parts behind that kind of stuff.
Right.
You know what I mean? And it's a lot more than, just the veneer. However, the main thing is that power always comes from the ground up. So we are the ones who have to be on code. You understand? No matter where on earth a black person is murdered, they are not going to get their rights, including in Africa. Right. And the people in the black people in the best situation on earth happens to be in the United States of America, with all that's going on in the U.S. So you can just imagine the rest of the world,
right?
How black people are suffering everywhere. All right, so
I would want to step back. When black people with the best situation on earth is probably in Canada before the United States.
Allahu Alam, because the black population here are mostly immigrant, right? And there's not really that many. Like the population, the second largest ethnic group in Canada happens to be South Asians by far. And then the Asian community, and black people are like very, very few.
Right.
In Canada. All right. So
from living on both sides of the border, just from a living standpoint, even though we are a smaller community here, we don't have to deal with what they have to deal with there. And I'll say that on so many levels.
That's correct.
Like
at the same time, if you were gonna say, okay, where is the like just the black community?
Oh no, then there's no real black community here.
That's what I'm saying. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
That's what I'm saying. There's no real black community in Canada. Right?
But there, it's like they use. I'm going to give Philadelphia as the example, where it's basically a war zone, but it's a war zone to lower price value to increase gentrification. And it's so simple and plain to see. It's mind-boggling how easy it is to see, because oh man, I mean, we'll talk about that later. It's just a crazy situation. But yeah, well, that's all I had to say about this whole situation anyway, so I'm gonna get off here.
All right, Jazakallah khair. Well, thank you so much for joining us, Sister Rabia. Jazakallah khair, everybody, for joining me on the live. May Allah reward you and bless you all. And tomorrow, inshallah, if you guys want, actually, let's talk about this. I know I said I wasn't gonna talk about like Daniel. We don't even have to talk about Daniel. We have been like totally vindicated, right? Totally vindicated, right? But people are still sending me Daniel stuff after all that stuff. So should we do a live about him tomorrow? Yes or no? Put it in the chat. Even though I'm like, why? Like, why? We don't have to do any more work on him. We like everything we said was not only spot on, but it played out exactly the way that we said it would play out. So what do you think? Should we do a live about him tomorrow? Yes or no? Because tomorrow, I don't have to work tomorrow, right? So I can go live. You know what I mean? What do you guys think? Should I go live and do a reaction video about this guy or what? I mean, I'll think about it, man. It's like nobody put more work on that dude than us here on the Feachaz. And still, people, they refuse to give us credit, man. They're so afraid to mention us, bro. Like, it's like crazy, man. They're just scared to mention us. They know very well where they're getting their information. They know they're getting their information from the Feachaz, right? They start going on his Telegram and stuff. Where did they get that from? Where did they get that from? They got it from us, right? We were the ones who put out, his love for Hizb ut-Tahrir and his Khariji stuff and all this kind of stuff. But we were saying that, okay, all that aside, this is like dogmatic, but the main thing is that he's alt-right. And these guys still refuse to put out his alt-right stuff. They refuse to do that. We want to talk about his Kharijiness now. Like he said something different in the last 3 years. Yeah, I agree. But for us in the Black grassroots, we don't have to prove anything, like straight up. We have been consistent. We're the only ones that have been consistent from day one. From day one, with all the heat that we took. You get me? But anyways, Jazakallah khair for everybody joining. May Allah reward you and bless you all. Subhanakallah wa bihamdik wa shada la ant wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalam.